Hi guys, we are here with Luke Molver, creator of
Sunday Slave, Shaka Rising, and Nero.
So I bought two of the books. I've been enjoying the second issue that you got for me. I'm hoping to come back and get everything.
Cool. Glad you're digging it.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. Please go check it out. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Luke Molver. That's LUKEMOLVER. It's my name. And my website, lukemolver.com.
lukemolver.com. Okay, so just tell me, you were here last year, now you're here this year. How's it feeling? Is it feeling different? Is it feeling better? Is it feeling?
Well, the change of location, I think, was because they wanted to make it bigger, and I think it is bigger this year. I've heard like 40,000 people through the door just yesterday. I'm not sure how true that statistic is, but I can tell you from standing behind my table all of yesterday. Bit quiet in the morning. I think people take a circuit around and check everything, but from about midday it was breakneck pace until closing time at 6. So it's been busy, but busy is good.
Very good, very good. That's how you make money. So just tell me, which one is your favorite book to work on currently? I know you're an artist and it keeps shifting, but which one would right now be your favorite book to work on?
I think probably my horror comic, Sunday Slave. I've been enjoying that. I was doing my sci-fi comic Nero was the first comic I ever did back in 2013. But that was interesting and kind of amusing because I was writing about cyberpunk, dystopia, apocalyptic futures, and then I started looking around and I realized that's the world we're in right now. So it got a bit mainstream, So I decided to move on to some horror comic, Sunday Slave. I love the blues music, and that's what it's all about. With the Shaka comics also, I got an opportunity to write a historical epic, which I hadn't done before.
Okay.
So I actually enjoy working across a wide variety of genres. Presently, I'm enjoying Sunday Slave the most, but I enjoy everything as long as it's a good story.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned mainstream and comics going mainstream. Is that kind of a thing that you don't want? You kind of want a niche crowd or a niche audience?
Personally, I avoid writing superhero stories. I think their popularity is evident. I mean, look around you, it's everywhere. But I also feel I have other stories I want to tell that can be equally powerful and equally relatable to audiences of all ages. There's I enjoy working in a whole variety of genres, but lately I tend to avoid superhero stories because I think there's enough of them at the moment.
Yeah, no, there's an oversaturation. But my question pertains to, would you want something like Sunday Slave to go into the mainstream where everybody's on Sunday Slave?
Hey, yeah, why not? I mean, there's no such thing as bad publicity, or the more eyes on my work, the better. With my self-published stuff like Sunday Slave and Nero, the reach of those comics is quite minimal because I don't have the distribution. But with the Shaka comics, Shaka Rising and King Shaka, they were actually published by a company called Story Press Africa.
Okay.
And they were able to go overseas. They were being published internationally. So the reach I got with the historical epic, the Shaka story, was a lot wider. But I mean, obviously I'd love more people to read my other comics as well. But I think the Shaka series is a good stepping stone towards that, to getting a wider audience. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also heard great things about this, so I'm hoping to pick it up sometime. This year, this entire haul just drained everything.
There's almost too much.
No, there's almost way too much. So do you want to stick to the comic book medium, or are you transitioning into maybe animation, or?
I like comic book. I love the comic book medium. I think there's sometimes a misconception, particularly in Hollywood, that comic creators are all just some sort of frustrated screenwriter who wants to see their work on screen. Which, while comic books and cinema definitely have things in common, I think they're both very unique genres. If anything, I'd probably like to make one of my comics into a feature film. At some point, not necessarily animation, but if that ever happens, whether it be animation or live action or whatever, I think I'd like to be on board, because I'd be very worried about what might happen to my work if I just sold it off. But to answer your question, yes, I have considered working in other media, but my first love and my base medium will always be comic books.
Okay, and then second last question, because you look like you're about to get really busy. What was your first comic? Like, what was? Do you remember?
The first comic I read or wrote?
Read. They got you into
Well,
comic books.
the first comics, I read the early DC and Marvel stuff, but when I really realized what I wanted to do was comics was Judge Dredd. It was 2000 AD, a British comic. It was an anthology comic, science fiction. But what struck me was that it was so different to the superhero stuff coming out of America. Firstly, it was so violent. It was just blood, exit wounds all over the page. And that struck me. I was like, comics are not just for kids. You can tell extraordinary stories. And again, not necessarily about superheroes. I know I sound like I'm tuning superheroes. They're cool, but I just want to make people aware there's a lot more out there. And I think it was the character of Judge Dredd in 2000 AD that I first realized this is the medium I want to work in.
Nah, that was a good book. That was a really good book. I still have it.
Yeah.
All right, so last question. If you're doing live action and we're doing Sunday Slave, who are you casting as the main character?
You know, I really like Mahershala Ali at the moment. The guy, he was in the True Detective series. I think he's going to... yeah, maybe, but he's a bit big. He's a bit too brawny.
Okay. I'm saying the show that he was in, Mahershala Ali.
Oh, was he in?
Yeah,
I haven't. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. He's also, I think Mahershala Ali is also going to be the new Blade.
Yes.
So yeah, I really like him. I think he's a talented actor, and I could see him as Rondo Sunday.
Rondo Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Thank you for your time.
Cool. Thank you, KB. A pleasure.
For your stand and everything. Get the books, guys. They're really good. I own 2 of them. I want to own all of them.
Thanks for your support, guys.
I'll see you in another video. And I'll tag all of your media at the bottom of the video. And again, thank you for your time.
Cool. Great. Thank you, sir.